Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is Many a True Nerd, and welcome back to Fallout New Vegas. You only live once. Last time, we obviously decided to commit to Mr. House, and we reactivated his army at Fortification Hill. We then finished off the Legion in pretty much everything we're going to do for them. We've made good enough friends with the Legion that, hopefully, if I understand this game correctly, they will never send hit squads after me. So let's crack on with Mr. House this part, shall we? And he's asked me to go and have a little look-see at the boomers. But on the way there, we have something to discuss. So right now, according to the true health counter in the bottom left, my health is 340 out of 430 as I begin and end every episode by saying, when I remember at least. And these last two parts especially, I have had quite a few comments from people saying when I happen to show off my Pip-Boy because I'm looking at equipment, they see the HP counter in the game and they say, John, you're lying, you're deceiving us somehow because you said that you were on 340 HP, but your Pip-Boy clearly says you're at full hit points. Okay, people. I clearly need to revisit the true health counter because a fair few people seem to have kind of either forgotten or missed that this is a thing. So, why is my hit point counter, the little bar in the bottom left, showing full when I'm saying that my hit points are 340 out of 430? This is because of a little quirk in the game, so minor I didn't even know about it when I started this run, and that is that in New Vegas, characters have a very, very low level of baseline health regeneration. It almost basically represents the fact that the human body, even when you don't do anything to it, does very slowly heal itself. In my character, that is 0.66 hit points per in-game hour. So when you think about it, given like a lot of the time, like because I want to do things in daylight or at night, and as I might wait 10 hours, that actually stacks up to, quite quickly. So you get, 6, almost 7 hit points by waiting 10 hours, which I regularly will do just so I can do something at night or in the day. That all adds up. And I did not know about that when I started this run, and I think that is unfairly generous. So this is why the true health counter in the bottom left exists, because I don't want the game to give me my hit points back. I want to say, when I've been shot for 10 hit points damage, I'm stuck with having lost 10 hit point damage for the rest of time. That's what the true health counter does. It simply says, the fact that I'm now saying that I'm 340 out of 430 means that over the course of the run so far, I've been shot for 90 damage. And as a result, whatever my total hit points are, I'm going to say that my true hit points should be 90 less than that. Basically what I'm saying is I think the game is too generous in the little amount of regeneration it does give you, and I've decided that I'm going to manually disregard that to make my life a bit harder than it is. So as you can see, I've already healed up all the 90 hit points that I'd actually lost. But when you think about it, 0.66 per game out, that stacks up so quickly. You heal off a lot very quickly, so I'm just disregarding that. That is why the true health counter and what the Pip-Boy says vary. I'm deliberately making my life as difficult as possible. So anyway, here we are at the boomers, and okay, so for people who don't realise, because the boomers basically say you go to Mother Pearl and she says, do Valari, do the quest Valari, and make my people like you, and we'll work with you. And I think a lot of people mistakenly assume that what that means is you just have to go through the kind of the various parts of the quest that Valari gives you, because it kind of gives you various quest pointers. You go and you do them, and when you've done them all, Pearl will move you on to the next stage of the quest. That's not how Valari works. The way that Valari works is the quests that you have been given all give you positive reputation with the boomers. When you get up to idolized with the boomers, that is when you get to move on to the next stage. If you get up to idolized in other ways or more efficiently than the game's expecting you to, then you can move straight on anyway, even if you've avoided like some of the more dangerous bits of the quest. And I'm going to show off my favourite little exploit for this. I mean, it's not a great exploit because it means me actually doing the only really dangerous bit. But I want to show off anyway because it's cool and I've never shown it off before. So Raquel, the Master at Arms, let's speak to her. And would you believe that there is an ant problem she needs us to take care of?
Long story short, the power failed a few days ago because giant ants have tunneled in.
Your long story short was too long. Basically, the ants, go kill them. Yes, I can handle that. Boom. The one thing that she does tell you is to go and speak to Loyal, one of the other boomers, who's been developing a weapon that you can use against the ants. Definitely want to go and do that. So, here's Loyal. He's working on something, a little something to work with the ants.
I started building a sonic emitter that might do the trick.
And I bet with my Science of 50 or Speech of 50, I can get hold of it right now.
Hot damn, you're right.
Why, thank you very much. Good, give me the damn thing. Also worth noting, the hangars, I think it's completely unattended at night. And you will notice that all these crates that are here are armor cases containing good quality combat armor. A value of, I think it's about, what is it? Yeah, yeah, that's quite a low quality one, and that's worth 2,000. Some of them are better than that. So, yeah, there's a better one, 2,300 odd. 2,300 odd. Yeah, I've seen slightly better quality than that before. I think it's a bit of a random draw as to what quality this armor's in when you come across it. But never mind. It's, yeah, there's a good, if you've got even reasonable barter, there's a good 10,000 caps to be had just from these 5 boxes. So definitely pay attention to those. So that in hand, head over to the array over here, and I'm hoping I might be able to do a single mission for the boomers and actually get idolized by them anyway using this little trick that I'm going to kind of try and show off here. So just do this bit as normal. Head in here. This is the, well, it's kind of, it looks like the front way. I think of it as the back way because it's a passage down to the bottom and it feels like a shortcut to me, yet it's also the door that's the most obvious, so never mind. Anyway, just head in here and head into the tunnels. Now, if I understand this correctly, the ants in here do not breathe fire, but they do explode if hit with energy weapons. I think energy weapons. The way the boomers phrase it when they tell you about it is flamethrowers and laser pistols, but bullets are fine. So I think it means anything that's classified as a laser weapon, or an energy weapon rather to be precise, is probably what causes the issue. Anyway, 2 dead ants, obviously. That might have been a bit overkill. You do not need to use the anti-materia rifle on some ants, but never mind. You'll notice there's red marks on my compass, but I'm almost certain those are upstairs in these rooms, so I can just remain hidden by heading straight ahead of me. And thanks to the sonic emitter I got from Loyal, I can pretty much skip to the end of this quest by walking over here and get, to my mind, one of the really most odd little kind of VATS kill cams in the entire game. So go up to here, place the sonic emitter on the mount, it just appears there. Activate the sonic emitter and prepare for something a bit odd. There we go, kill cam. And you suddenly get a whole bunch of experience. Weird scuttly noise there, indicating that like things are dying all over the shop. Yeah, it's really, really odd. It's very, very odd. Just activate all of these. Yep, hello. This is what the quest wanted me to do. May as well do that while I'm here. But I actually largely also wanted to come down here because it means you get to the armory, because there's loads of good stuff in the armory down here. You can just kind of ransack this place. It's not even deemed stealing, it's just kind of yours. And specifically, of course, I want the missiles. I'll come to why in a second. But there's also some mini nukes. So obviously, there's not that many mini nukes in this game. If you've got Gunrunner's Arsenal installed, you get like an infinite supply of nukes sold not even that expensively from the Gunrunner's Arsenal, because the low yield nukes are actually pretty cheap from the Vendatron of the Gunrunner's Arsenal. So you can just get loads of stuff from him. But in the normal base game, the actual number of mini nukes is actually limited, and that's really important if you're doing, like, say, a mad bomber run, because mini nukes, as in actual proper official mini nukes, not Gunrunner's Arsenal mini nukes, are the only way to make the mine that's made out of a mini nuke, which is really cool. I've never shown that off, actually. I will get around to showing that off at some point or other. But it's really, really cool. And yeah, that's pretty much the only way to get hold of those. You've got to use the normal mini nukes. The Gunrunner's Arsenal extra ones can't be used. And there's a finite number of mini nukes in the world, which means there's a finite number of mines you can create. So it's useful, yeah, just always keep an eye on mini nukes if you happen to know where you can find some. Anyway, I'm just going to ransack these bodies quickly because they've got some really good loot on there. You can see that 6 weight to 715. While we're passing through the other side of the Boomers camp, actually, fun little fact about this little area. This is off to the side of the hangars and the airport. There's this little area where they've got like a little farm. One of the guys here, is he doing it right now, will at higher levels at least be carrying a fat man around with him. I'm not sure if he's loaded in now. Maybe I need to be a little bit high level to bring him in. But someone around here. There he is! Hello. Or is it a her?
We've survived out here pretty well so far.
Yeah, that's a her. That is actually a her. Yeah, good. Someone around here will always be carrying a fat man, and you can kill this person because they're unnamed. If you stealth kill them and then wait, I think it's 3 in-game days, they'll respawn, and they'll have the fat man again. So this is a good source for infinite fat men, if you happen to be into that sort of thing. I should say, actually, before I go to Raquel, my current status with the Boomers is accepted. I got that from doing Pete's museum tour with Veronica and then just hanging around for the whole thing and then asking questions. That gets you up to accepted already, so I just need to get up to liked, then idolised. So
Morning.
Pete is a really good, easy way of getting your Boomer rep up.
I see the power's back on. The ants are all dead?
Why, yes, they are.
Maybe.
So that gets me up to liked, beautiful, nice and easy, and a handful of experience too. Only 300, not terrible. But more importantly, now we've done that, you can ask her if there's anything else you can help with.
The next time you leave Nellis, keep an eye out for missiles.
So just tell her you will do that. Now, you may recall last part I mentioned that the guys who accept tags in the Legion in Cottonwood Cove, they're that faction's version of the person you can trade in items for infinite reputation. Raquel is the Boomer's version of this. So I can now give her missiles and swap them for faction reputation. The reason that all of the factions have these is so it's the game basically giving you a way to get up to idolised, because the game needs to leave you an avenue to get to idolised. So if I, the first time I came to the Boomers, like murdered a bunch of them, so I was quite disliked. When I come here again later and they've calmed down, doing all the quests might not give me enough rep to get up to idolised if I've already messed some of them up by killing quest givers, for example. So the only way I can get up to idolised is by just buying missiles and trading them in. And this means if you want to do it this way, you could theoretically just keep buying missiles from the Vendertron and the Gunrunner's Arsenal and just hand them over to Raquel. So I'm going to see how much I can get from doing this now. So I'm not planning to use missiles, so I'm just going to hand over missiles. Yep, missiles. I have more to turn in. Here, have missiles.
Thanks.
Is that enough to get me up to idolised? May or may not be. No, I don't think it gets you very much. It might just get you like 1 point of reputation. So, oh no! Help the Boomers around Nellis. Completed. Wait, hang on. I'm not idolised, am I? Well, colour me surprised, because I am only liked by the Boomers, not idolised. But the quest log is clearly saying I can return to Pearl. I always assumed I had to get up to idolised, but is liked enough? Alright, fine, fair enough. So yeah, that's one way of doing it. So obviously I haven't bothered doing vast amounts of the stuff I could do for the Boomers. So yeah, just literally doing Pete's Museum. And then I wonder therefore if I even needed to bother handing over those missiles. I probably didn't in that case. I'm honestly not sure exactly what the trigger is for that. So I may have just been very wasteful and just given away missiles, but that's fine. I had no intention of using missiles. I was never going to use missile launcher, and the unique missile launcher that's not that much better anyway, Annabelle, is already despawned out of the game because it's held by Nightkin over at Black Mountain, and I've already cleared them out, so I can't get hold of that even if I wanted to. Just in case you do need a little bit more reputation beyond what I did, then the medical station's a good place to go. Thanks to my high intelligence and a couple of books I found, my medicine is at 35, even though I've never put a skill point into it. And with comprehension, I can get that up to 55. With a today's physician, I won't need for anything else. So just pop one of those, speak to Argyle, and he will let you, yep, he'll definitely let you heal his patients. Yep, medicine 40, or speech 35, but let's go for 40. It's a little bit higher, so maybe a few extra experience points. That's absolutely fine. And then I think I can do 2 of the 3. So medicine 50 or higher, yeah, I'm at 55 right now. And examination, I clean the leg, I realise it can be saved. I remove the existing stitches, clean the wounds thoroughly, and then restitch the wound closed using a much more effective procedure. Oh, I'm a big damn hero. And this one, I think I can help too. Yep, medicine of 40, treat the infection, and with natural herbs, bandages, and some disinfectant, I clean the wounds and boost the patient's immune system enough that he will survive. That gets you up to idolised. So yes, would you believe saving their lives actually does quite a lot to improve your reputation with them. So that's a good way of doing it too. The other thing I could have done would have been to do Sunshine Boogie repairing the reflectors over where I was before at the generator place. You need repair of 70 to do that, which I could have done because I've got repair 50 and then a fixing things magazine up to 70 if you've taken the perk comprehension, or you need to go and get parts from Helios 1. You notice I haven't been to Helios 1. I'm not going anywhere bloody near Helios 1. Even at my level, there are risks to being in that area. It's way too risky. Alright, Pearl, hello there.
You have done well to earn the trust of my people, child.
I'm gonna be honest, it was farcically easy. They trust way too easily.
Find Loyal and ask him about our people's fondest dream.
I find that a really odd bit of script, because the game now suddenly goes really in favour of, oh, they're going to be mysterious and not tell you what it is, and it's a big mystery what's Law going to tell you. But if you just go to Pete's Museum, he will just overtly tell you, without any prompting whatsoever, they want to get the B-52 out of Lake Mead. Like, they just say it. So I find it a bit odd that the game makes a big song and dance about her being a bit mysterious about it when you find it out so easily. The other quest I've skipped, of course, is Young Hearts, the quest to get Jack and Janet together. That's because it's just a really annoying quest. You literally just have to fast travel back and forward a few times between the Crimson Caravan and the Boomer's base. I just find it an annoying quest that's not particularly interesting. Alright, lawyer, why don't you tell me about the B-52? Or would you like to be a bit more mysterious yet?
Earl sent word saying it's all right to tell you about the lady in the water.
Okay, you want to be mysterious yet then? Yep, B-52 bomber, lovely. It's in Lake Mead. You need me to get it down from the bottom. You're going to give me deployable ballast to stick to it. Lovely. The one problem, of course, is the flaming at the bottom of a lake. I am going to need to get to the bottom. And I wonder if you can do it without the rebreather. I'm not sure. I'm not taking the risk because the moment you run out of air, you do start losing hit points. So I'm not doing that. So, Jack, you can help me breathe underwater, especially as you've got plenty of time to focus on your work. Now you don't have a girlfriend.
I just need some parts from a pressure cooker to create a hermetic seal for the rebreather.
I'm sure my science skill can convince you to improvise.
That's a brilliant idea. I can put that together right now. Here you go, a new rebreather.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Now, the rebreather. Here's an interesting little bit of kit that we need to discuss. Let's slip this bad boy on, shall we? It's just a piece of equipment like any other. Except, of course, for one key difference. You'll notice that the Ranger helmet I'm wearing right now has damage threshold, but the rebreather has damage resistance. This is revisiting something that I mentioned many parts ago. Let's see how that looks. How does that look? Ooh, that actually works, doesn't it? That actually looks quite nice. Yeah, that actually looks like, I look like a proper scuba diver here. Oh, quite like that. Marvellous. Yes, I think we touched many parts ago on the difference between damage threshold and damage resistance. Basically, that almost all armor in this game has damage threshold, which reduces an absolute value of damage off any shot that's coming at you. Meanwhile, damage resistance reduces a percentage of the damage that's being thrown after you. Both exist in this game, but almost nothing in this game gives you damage resistance. A few items do, like, actually, as an example I happen to have on me, you'll notice that the roving trader gear, the hat and the outfit, do actually have, they're marked as having DR. They don't actually give you any, but they are marked as having damage resistance rather than damage threshold. Items that actually give you damage resistance are very rare, however, in this game. There's only a handful of them, and none of them are that good. You really can't get your damage resistance that high. Now, of course, this leads into a bit of an interesting question, which is it ever worth taking off your helmet to put on the rebreather? And, okay, we've got some maths coming up now. I hope you're in the mood for maths, because I'm in the mood for maths. We're going to be doing some maths. So by wearing my power helmet, I could have a damage threshold, an extra 6 points of damage threshold, so 6 hit points. So that's pretty darn high. So if we just run the numbers, for it to be more effective at reducing damage, for me to want 3% damage reduction rather than 6 hit points to be lost, the shot that will having to be fired at me would have to do over 200 damage. If something that is going to do over 200 damage is fired at me, I'd be better off wearing the rebreather than I would be just wearing a damage threshold 6 power helmet. Now, there are almost no instances in the game where that's ever going to happen, except, of course, there's one extra tweak here, which, again, you may remember I have talked about this before. Damage threshold cannot reduce the maximum amount of damage from a shot below 20% of what the starting damage was. So, in other words, if someone fires a shot at me that should do 50 damage, and I have armor that has 50 damage threshold, you'd think, logically, that because it's 50 minus 50, the shot should do 0 or 1. And back in the old Fallouts, that was how it worked. A shot could do effectively nothing. In fact, a shot could do literally nothing, if I recall correctly. But that's not how it works in New Vegas. Instead, it caps at 20%. So in other words, if I've got damage threshold 50 and a shot is fired at me that does 50 damage, then the shot will do 10 damage because 20% of 50 is 10. Damage resistance changes that slightly because damage resistance is calculated, I believe, before damage threshold. So let's rerun that calculation where I'm wearing the rebreather instead of a helmet. So under these circumstances, a shot is fired at me that does 50 damage. I have now, having lost 6 points of damage threshold, I'm now down to 44 damage threshold. That still is enough to activate the cap where the shot will go down to 20% easily. but I take 3% damage off first. So the damage resistance of the Rebreather reduces the base damage of the shot to 48, from 50 down to 48. After that, the 20% threshold is applied, and that reduces the damage of the shot down to 9.7. So the original shot, had I not been wearing the Rebreather, gets me down to 10 damage, from 50 to 10. With the Rebreather instead, it goes down from 50 to 9.7. Effectively, really no different. And honestly, that means I'm not going to bother wearing the Rebreather for the advantage. There will be a certain tiny number of instances where the Rebreather would actually save me any significant amount of damage, but honestly, you are talking about 1 hit point or so, and even then, in many cases, especially if very powerful things are being thrown at you, the extra little points of damage could actually be worth it. I'd rather have the damage threshold than resistance. It's just a safer option. It's just a safer option. Now, as for getting out to the Lake Mead monster, the B-52 itself, I personally prefer to travel from Camp Gulf. There's multiple ways you can approach it. It doesn't really matter that much. The reason I personally like Camp Gulf is, you'll notice obviously the lake there, the water extends pretty much to the boundary of Camp Gulf itself, so you can get pretty much in the water. Now I've got the Rebreather. Generally, a good rule for staying safe is get in the water as early as possible and stay in it. Because there is literally nothing in Fallout New Vegas that can attack you underwater. Not one thing, nothing, ever. In all fairness, I actually find it a little bit disappointing, to be honest, that there's no reason not to swim. You're completely safe underwater. Underwater's actually a bit Spartan. There's nothing there. It's a shame. It is a shame. I wish there was something a bit more interesting. Occasionally, like, you will see hoaxers going around the internet that will say, hey, the Lake Mead monster's actually real if your in-game console's set to 11:17 AM 2050 and you're wearing a funny hat and it's a Tuesday, then at that point there's a Lake Mead monster you can just see, and here's a really low quality, toaster quality photo that I've decided to put up on Reddit for it. That happens occasionally, you'll see something like that. But there's no Lake Mead monster, there's nothing there at all. That doesn't mean you're completely safe underwater. The lake lurks, if they follow you into the water, can't do anything. If they're standing on land and shooting down at you, their sonic attacks can hurt you. Those do travel through water. So you've got to kind of not go too close to platforms which have lake lurks standing on them, or they might shoot at you and that could do some damage to you. So, you know, you can't be entirely not careful. But generally, if they follow you into the water, they can't do a thing. Which is actually kind of funny, because they will swim right up to you and then just float next to you because they've got no attack they can use underwater. I've got footage of that in my New Vegas no-kill run, whichever part I covered the boomers in there. So if you want to see footage of that, go and check out, just search for Fallout New Vegas no-kill, the boomers, and you will find my video where I've got a footage of them just swimming up to me and then doing nothing. I find it quite funny. Anyway, the bomber's around here somewhere. I will rejoin you at it. Here we are. So, sorry if I skipped over Loyal's plan a little bit and you haven't played this game recently. So, obviously, the thing it wants me to do is put ballast, these little ballast packages, under the wings. One under each wing. There we go. And the other one too. And then the game gets really, really sniffy about where I've got to be standing to detonate the ballast packages. The game gives you a very specific point it wants you to stand. It points at this kind of little area over in this direction. Here we are. Now, don't feel too safe over here. Over there in that house, right there, probably in sight in just a second. Yep, you can see there's the little baby murder bugs over there. It's quite frankly a little bit mean the game kind of brings you over here, but the game gets really sniffy. So, if I'm over here, there we are, Loyal's detonator begins to beep. You have to be standing at the exact right point to detonate. I don't know why, the game just decides you do. So, Loyal's detonator, just an item in your inventory. Just detonate. And you get a little bit closer the moment you press detonate. There is the ship. Head forward a little bit and you'll be far enough away from the murder bugs to fast travel straight back to Loyal. So, inform Loyal you've raised the plane.
That's tremendous. I'll transmit instructions to the robots to start packing up the plane to bring it back to Nellis.
Rather bafflingly, Loyal's, now that you've raised the plane, Loyal will now send a fleet of robots who will take the plane apart into small pieces, carry it back to the boomer base, and then reconstruct it here in perfect working order. Like, they couldn't do something to raise the plane by themselves, but the moment you've raised the plane, they can send a fleet of robots to deconstruct it, move it, then perfectly reconstruct it. And but they couldn't find any way of raising the plane by themselves. That needed to be done by an outsider. It feels like they've brought in an outside contractor for the easiest bit of the job when they already have vastly superior technology waiting. But never mind, I don't know why the robots couldn't just work underwater. Never mind. Anyway, that done, we can just head on back to Pearl and just tell Pearl what you've done.
What you have done for us is a miracle, child. You have fulfilled the only dreams we ever had outside our walls.
Now, rather weirdly, at this point, obviously, what you can say to her is, there may be a battle in the near future at Hoover Dam. Can you offer any assistance?
Of course, my child. After all that you have done for us, we would love to help you in the upcoming battle.
She, of course, doesn't ask whose side should we be supporting, who should we be bombing, when should we be doing the bombing. Do you want to give us a signal when you want us to bomb, or do you want to tell us? No, you just kind of say, would you like to aid at the dam? And she'll say, yep, we'll go bomb someone. Which I guess kind of suits the boomer ethos in many ways, but it's also just kind of odd, because the game can't have you say, hey, I need you to bomb the NCR or bomb the Legion or bomb Mr. House's robots, because specifically, you actually have to be able to kind of change your mind later. At this point in the game, you might choose to go down any of the routes. They're all still open to you. So you can ask her to help and she'll agree, even though she doesn't know who to bomb, and you can never go back to actually, and you might choose to never go back to actually tell her who to bomb. But never mind, eh?
Don't get blown up.
Good advice. So, with pretty much, I think, the only bit of underwatering we're going to have to do for the whole rest of the game done, we can pop the rebreather away, and instead we'll put this helmet back on. This went down... Weird cluster over there, alright, fine. Yeah, this went down very well when I put this to vote. People really quite liked the stealth armor with the Ranger helmet, so I think we'll keep that for the minute. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So, with the boomers wrapped up, let's go and report into Mr. House, just to let him know the, good news. Alright, good news, House.
Any progress with the boomers?
Loads, in fact.
Well done. The boomers' firepower may prove an advantage when the battle for Hoover Dam comes around. Your next assignment won't take you far. It concerns the Omertas and their den of vice, Gomorrah.
So we move straight on to the House Always Wins 4, where he's asked us to look for the Omertas, but of course, it's not just that pops up. You'll get 2 other quests popping up. Beware the Wrath of Kaiser and or Caesar, depending on your preference there. And also, don't tread on the bear. So this is our warning, quite frankly. The game is now saying if we complete the House Always Wins 4 and turn it into House, the Legion and the NCR will not work with us. The Legion will declare us an enemy. They'll shoot us on sight, but if I've got this right, they will not send hit squads because they can't, because I'm idolised by them. So I can never have a negative reputation with them now. I can only have a neutral reputation with them. The NCR will refuse to work with me, but they will not shoot me on sight or send hit squads. However, the refusing to work with me is not entirely fun, so as a result, I think that's what we actually have to do next. Next time, we have to go and finish off a few last bits with the NCR, because before they refuse to even talk to me, there's a couple of things I need to set up to my advantage. So I think that is next up. And the other thing that's coming up is tomorrow. Even if you have not been watching the series so far, I strongly advise be around Many a True Nerd tomorrow, because tomorrow in Red Faction Guerrilla, I'm taking on the Harrington Memorial Bridge, which basically means I'm taking on a mega structure with a sledgehammer, like a psychotic Bridget Plus in reverse. It's brilliant. I think it's actually one of the videos I'm most proud of in this entire history of the channel. It's utterly marvellous. If you've not been watching Red Faction so far, fine, but watch it tomorrow because it's utterly genius. I love it. I love it so much. I love it so much. So yes, that's next week then. Next week we have to go and deal with Ambassador Crocker, and we will do a few bits and pieces for the NCR. I'll pretty much be speedrunning through some of the NCR quests, by the way, because interestingly, House is the only faction leader who isn't incredibly petty. The Legion hates you working with the NCR hates you working with the Legion. House just doesn't really care. You can work with whoever you want, as long as you basically come home to House at the end of the day, he's fine continuing to work with you. So he's kind of the least petty of the faction leaders, which is another point in his favour. So good for him. So that's what we're doing next time, and in the meantime, I've been John, this has been Many a True Nerd, and this has been Fallout New Vegas, you only live once, finishing off the boomers. Thank you very much, and goodbye.